Deep in the forest, about 4 miles above the Appalachian Mountains, lies one of Ohio's most haunted tunnels. But why is it so haunted? Let's get in the spook about the hauntings at Moonville Tunnel. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Millie, and here on InTheSpook, we talk everything about the paranormal and the supernatural. Today, we are going to be talking about the legend of Moonville Tunnel, and I'm so excited to be talking about this because I have been wanting to go here since I was in high school. I'm 26 now, by the way. I finally got the chance to do my first paranormal investigation in like 7 years. I am so excited. Granted, we did have very limited amount of time when we were there, but let me tell you what, we got some decent evidence in the small amount of time that we were there. Now, if you're interested in that, stick to the end of this video and I might show you a little trailer of my new video coming up. That will be coming up right after this video about a week later. So make sure to like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. That way you are notified when the video comes out and future videos. Now, let's not beat around the bush. Let's go ahead and hop right into the haunted history of Moonville Tunnel. Now, as you know, Moonville Tunnel, it's known for its haunting past and its ghostly apparitions. But how did it get so haunted? Now, railroads running through Moonville Tunnel were such a key part in transporting coal in Ohio in the late 1800s. Now, coal mining was booming around this time in Hocking Hills due to its supply and demand for the Civil War, before and during. But the tunnel itself was built in 1856, and it actually was an 8-mile stretch connecting the Marietta and Cincinnati Railway. By the late 1800s, many small little towns and villages started to pop up around the area, mostly immigrants looking for new jobs. Now, for the first 150 years of coal mining here in Ohio was really big. It would not only bring in many new jobs and new people looking for work, unfortunately would also bring a lot of sadness and death due to the working conditions of coal mining back in the day. Coal mining in its first 100 years was probably its most dangerous because it was actually mostly underground. Now, with it being underground, a lot of these workers would actually have to go down 200-foot shafts in order just to get to the mines to start collecting their iron and their coal. Like I said earlier, these working conditions, it was so dangerous, especially because they were underground and they were literally hundreds of feet down. Like, in order to put it into perspective for you, I just went down to Hocking Hills and I finally got the chance to go to the Conkle's Hollow Nature Preserve, and they have a rim trail. It's about 2.5 miles. At some of its highest points, they have 200-foot drop-offs. Now, if you can just imagine 200-foot drop-offs, these people had to go that far down into the earth. And a lot of the times, these places, like I said, they're not mapped out very well. They're highly dangerous. They're not very steady. Editing Camille here. I meant to say sturdy, not steady. Okay, back to your normal programming. And a lot of the time they would have to take candlelight lanterns just in order to see and work where they were going and where they were at. Sometimes they would even have to use the airflow coming into the cave just to find their own way out. The Strip Coal Mining Act was the first law passed regulating coal mining here in Ohio. It was passed in 1947, and it would make it so mine operations had to be licensed by the state. Now, this law was strengthened in 1949 and then re-strengthened again in 1972. One of the really cool things about this area was that of a little known structure called Hope Furnace. Now, I wouldn't have even known what Hope Furnace was until I had gone down there, because it's not really mentioned in a ton of the history, but it definitely played a big part in coal mining and iron ore in the Ohio area. Hope Furnace is actually what kind of makes this area very special. So Hope Furnace was a giant sandstone furnace, and it was built in 1853, and it was used to help produce iron from the region's own sandstone bedrock. Now, it was one of 69 furnaces in the area, and it would actually end up producing over 100,000 tons of iron every single year. That's a lot of freaking iron if I do say so myself. That's a lot of iron. After nearly 20 years of Hope Furnace being in operation, it would sadly close down. And the reason it would be closed down was because they actually found iron ore more out west a lot easier. So that way they didn't have to, keep mining in the area. So eventually these small towns would slowly kind of fizzle out. A lot of them are still there to this day, but a lot of them have fizzled out now. We have big open state forest area, which is it's honestly gorgeous down there. Driving through, I was like, wow, I can't quit looking. I just want to film it all. It's so pretty. Now, when I was down there for the first time, when we went to Moonville, because it is kind of desolate, it's about 2.5 miles off of the main road, and halfway of it is just gravel. So there's no houses back there. When you go down there, a lot of the time you will pass Hope Furnace, and there's no bathrooms down there. I did not go in the campground. There is a Hope campground area there. Didn't go in there. But to the public, there is little outhouses. I mean, they're not bad. I mean, they have it's like an outhouse. It's basically, if you go into a state park or anything like that, they're not always going to have flush toilets. They literally have these in hiking hills as well. So it's nothing crazy. But so yeah, if you're down there and you want to visit Hope Furnace, there are little outhouses right down the way. So that's actually kind of how we found out about Hope Furnace. Now, something that I did find out is that not only is Moonville Tunnel haunted, the Hope Furnace is also haunted as well. And the reason that it's haunted is because these things were huge. And in order to, put the iron ore into the furnace, there had to be someone on the top shoveling it in. So as you can imagine, accidents would happen. Locals say that you can actually see a little flickering light at the top of it because one of the men who used to work on top of it sadly had fallen into the furnace. And as you can imagine, furnaces get really hot, especially if they need to melt iron ore. So yeah, locals say that on a dark and stormy night, you can actually see a man making his little rounds, he's still working up there, and see the flickering of a light. Now, I was there at night and I didn't see anything, but it wasn't storming, so I don't know. So that was a little bit of the history of Moonville Tunnel and Hope Furnace in that area, and why coal mining in the area was so big in that area, and why there were so many deaths in that kind of area. But we are going to kind of talk a little bit more about the spirits that haunt it in the section of the video that y'all have probably come to really see. Let's hop into the hauntings and the spirits that still reside at Moonville Tunnel. Now, deep in the Zaleski State Forest, you will find an old rail trail that used to be the place of the original railroad tracks. Back in the day, they used to carry the coal from Marietta to Cincinnati. Now called the Moonville Rail Trail, you can take a walk down Ohio's most haunted hiking trail, stretching over 10 miles. Now, I went there myself during the daylight, and it's actually so pretty. But once the sun starts to go down, things definitely start to take a darker turn. I will say so myself. Now, there are several spirits that still haunt the Moonville Tunnel and the 10-mile stretch of the rail trail, but there are certain ones that like to make their own appearance to those who dare to take a visit. Now let's hop in to the hauntings and the spirits around Moonville Tunnel. Now, many who have gone to Moonville Tunnel have claimed to see ghostly figures still walking along the tracks that used to be there. They're no longer there anymore. They call it a rail trail because it actually used to be a set of railroad tracks, and we have them actually here in northern Ohio too. There's several that go through Ohio. They're walking trails, now little hiking nature walk trails, and a lot of them are super pretty. There's actually one around the area that I live at, and it used to be an old railroad, which is actually really cool. I'm not gonna lie. One of the most famous spirits known at Moonville is that of Frank Lawhead. Now, there are several different accounts from locals in the area about this incident, but I'm going to be telling you about a newspaper article that actually got the facts straight. And it was one that didn't even come from Ohio. Now I'm going to be telling you about some of the accounts from people that were interviewed from certain newspapers in the area back in the day. And then I am going to be telling you the actual story of what happened. I am reading these from a website because it was really hard to find the original articles. Like, you really had to look. I might have to actually look these up and see if I can hold them up so you can physically see them besides the one. This one comes from the Circleville Herald at Circleville, Ohio, October 27th, 1978. Many legends of ghosts come from Ohio's hills. Quote, there was a railroad track that ran through the town, end quote, said Ron Mills. Quote, each night a railroad man would stand along the tracks with his lantern to signal the train. One morning, the man was found laying bloodless along the tracks. There were no clues to his death, end quote. Since the mysterious death, Mills reports that one foggy night, passersby have seen a lantern eerily bobbing along the deserted railroad track, end quote. So that is one account of what happened that night. Now we're gonna hop on to another one. This one comes from Lancaster Eagle Gazette in Lancaster, Ohio, on Thursday, February 19th. Of 1987. Now this is quoting the Selesky Backpack Trail publication. Quote, at the turn of the century, as the story goes, a brakesman was killed near the Moonville Tunnel. As he waved his lantern to stop the train, the man was exceedingly drunk and unfortunately swayed into the path of the oncoming steam locomotive. Reportedly, he was buried in the Moonville graveyard, and if you come here at night, some say you can still see his lantern, a glimmering and a waving, still trying to stop the train, end quote. So those are two, in my opinion, completely different accounts. One was literally saying he was drunk, and then the other one was saying that he was found in the morning. Let's go ahead and hop on over to the actual article. Now, this is actually coming out of Chicago, and not even Ohio. This wasn't reported in Ohio at the time. Now, this is coming from the Chicago Tribune, Saturday, November 6th of 1880. Marietta and Cincinnati, Ohio, November 5th. Two freight trains ran together on the Marietta and Cincinnati Railroad near Moonville, on the eastern end of the road yesterday. Engineer Frank Lawhead and fireman Charles Crick were killed and 6 of the crew wounded, but none fatally. The cause of the collision is said to have been the failure of the train dispatcher to notify the eastbound train of an order to the westbound train to run on its time. So that is the actual newspaper article of what happened. So like I said, many people have claimed that Frank was a brakesman or a conductor. He was actually an engineer on the trains around that area. But there still are accounts from people who have gone to Moonville Tunnel that they can see a ghostly figure walking up and down the tunnel with a lantern in their hand. Now, when I was there, unfortunately, didn't see any flickering lights. Granted, we did have a lot of flashlights. Now, I am going to be talking about another spirit that is said to still be there, and his name is Baldy the Bully. This one's a little interesting because during our investigation, I'm not going to give a lot away, but let me just tell you what my friend did see something, and it was definitely very spooky. It was on top of the tunnel. He's seeing like a figure pop its head out. Now, was it an animal? I don't know. Let's get into the story of Baldy the Bully. Now, Baldy the Bully, he was known as the town bully, and it was said that one night the townsfolk they didn't like him. So I'm assuming that some of the kids in the area had lured Baldy out to the area. They would, unfortunately, he would be thrown from the top of the tunnel, and then, and it is said that if you go to the tunnel, you can actually feel or hear and see pebbles being thrown from the top of the tunnel. Now, when we were there, my friend had actually seen an apparition on the top of the tunnel. I had not. I was not looking up there. And unfortunately, we did not catch this on camera, but he's seen it with his own eyes. And granted, could it have been an animal? Absolutely. There was a ton of wildlife around us that we could hear. But could it have been him? I think so too. So that is one of the other known spirits of Baldy the Bully. Now, obviously, I don't really know his name, but let's just say during the investigation, we did get a couple different names. Could it have been Baldy's name? That was just his nickname. We don't know his actual name. Now, one of the other many spirits that still haunt the Moonville Tunnel is one that goes by the name of the Lavender Lady. Now, it is said that this was obviously a woman who frequented the area, and she would go to pick lavender. And one day, sadly, she was struck by the train, but that is all that is said of her. We don't know her name, don't know where she comes from, how old she was. I tried looking it up several times, but that is it. That's all I got. Now, while we were there, we did get a name, but let me just say we were talking to a woman on my EVP recorder and on the spirit box, and we did get some answers back, and I'm very curious if it was the Lavender Lady. Now, I am going to be talking about one more spirit, and this one doesn't really have much background or anything. It is just said that you can see an 8-foot tall shadow figure with red eyes in the tunnel. Had to take a break there for a second. My camera overheated. I was recording earlier and it messed up. So now it's dying and it's overheating. So we're doing great. Okay. So one of the main reasons why there's so many deaths around Moonville Tunnel is because this 8-mile stretch that connected the Marietta and Cincinnati Railway is said to be the most desolate. And this is coming from railroad workers themselves who used to work on this stretch of railroad. And actually, this small stretch, including the tunnel, is what actually connected two small towns, Mineral and I believe Hope. And a lot of people would use the tunnel as a way to get from one town to the next. And unfortunately, a lot of them would, be struck by the train in this area. One being a 10-year-old girl from 1986. There are actually 21 recorded deaths from this small stretch and over its years of it being an active railway. Like I said, the last recorded death was a 10-year-old girl in 1986 because that was the last year that Moonville Tunnel and that stretch of railway was active. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. My camera is dying. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you really enjoyed the history of it, why it was built, why it was there, and why so many people unfortunately met their end there, and the spirits that still haunt that location. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, obviously you know what to do. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. That way you will be notified when all of my videos come out, including my next one, which is my first paranormal investigation at Moonville Tunnel. And let me tell you what, we got some cool evidence. I will say that, and I'm just not tooting my own horn here, okay? Now, let me tell you what, it is really dark. It is kind of hard to see some of this stuff, but it's still really cool. And stay tuned, because I will be popping the trailer at the end of this video. Also, hold on, before I leave. Before we go, please leave a comment down below if you guys have ever heard of Moonville, or if you have ever been to Moonville. Please let me know if you have your own personal experience down below. I know some people, we go to haunted places and you get nothing. And sometimes there's a little bit of activity, and sometimes there's a ton of activity. So let me know your experience if you've ever been to Moonville, and if there are certain haunted locations you want me to talk about, or even cryptids. Put all that in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next episode of InTheSpook. Bye, guys. Okay, so we're here at Moonville Tunnel at night.
How do you feel driving the spooky forest so far? Bev. That was immediate chills. And 100% thought I saw something dip back behind that little tree right there.
Closer?
No, I'm not getting
Mine.
Car.
I heard a
car. Just had some sheriffs stop us.